Hello, and welcome to Back Bay Mission's special series of interviews for National Volunteer Week. I'm Christopher Marlin Warfield, the Church Relations Associate at Back Bay Mission, and each day this week we're posting an interview with one or two of our most dedicated volunteers. To hear all of the interviews, please go to our website, thebackbaymission.org. Every year, Back Bay Mission has about 750 volunteers from across the United States join us in Biloxi to work in our ministries. While they're here, these volunteers work in our housing rehabilitation program, in our food pantry, in the Micah Day Center, and with our sister organization, Loaves and Fishes. Just as importantly, they also have the opportunity to meet with the people we serve and learn about the issues that we address. Some volunteers come for a week, and some stay for months. Some are highly skilled, and others are learning to do new things. Some come once, and some make annual pilgrimages to the Gulf Coast. And we are grateful to and thankful for all of them. Today, I'm speaking with Marilyn DeTizio. Marilyn has a long history in administration for nonprofit organizations, including College of St. Joseph in Rutland, Vermont, and the Girl Scouts. She currently lives in Central Florida, where she is an avid golfer and volunteers with several groups. Marilyn has been a regular long-term volunteer with Back Bay Mission since 2008. She spent her first long-term experience with us working in our emergency assistance program, and beginning with her second trip, she has worked as our volunteer coordinator. She is such a regular and dedicated volunteer that when she sat down and added up all of her volunteer time with the mission, she found that she has spent about a year with us. I sat down with Marilyn for a conversation about her experience with Back Bay Mission. So, Marilyn, let's start at the beginning. How did you first get involved with Back Bay Mission, and what made you want to volunteer with us?
Well, my first real relationship with Back Bay Mission was about 2008. I served as a chaperone with a youth group from Essex Junction, Vermont. And on my arrival, I was immediately impressed with the work camp organization, the friendliness of the staff at Back Bay. And as we began our work week, the homeowner at that time was very much involved with us on a daily basis. And I really felt that they were very appreciative of everything we were trying to do to help them reconstruct their home in a way that they would not be able to do on their own. And I knew, by the end of our first day that, I really like what's happening down here, and I want to return. And I did.
All right. Well, you've spent most of your time volunteering with us as our volunteer coordinator. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done in that role?
Well, as all positions, volunteer positions with Back Bay Mission sort of rotate who is sitting in that chair throughout the year, the volunteer coordinator position is like that. We come and we serve for a couple of months at a time, and each of us brings a variety of skills. The first year I was there, however, I spent a lot of time sort of organizing the tasks that were done on an ongoing basis, and so that everything, would be able to work a little bit more smoother and transition from one person being in the chair to the next person who would be sharing that chair. The second year when I came for 4 months and decided that, maybe because I'm going to be here for a longer period of time, it would be very helpful to not only to me, but those who would share that position with me later in the year, that a volunteer coordinator handbook would come in very handy. So that's what I did. And besides the normal tasks that needed to be done on a daily basis, but I spent a lot of time focusing on developing that volunteer coordinator handbook. And it's worked very, very well. In fact, I enjoy it, every year that I go back, it serves as a refresher to me as to exactly what pieces need to be in place when. And I hope that, and I'm sure that people who have followed me appreciate that sort of guidebook, that they know what they're doing. But as far as working with work camp groups, they also come with a variety of skills. And as I work in helping them prepare for their time at Back Bay Mission, I remind them that God has given us each many, many skills. And together we can put those talents to work. And that everyone can contribute something to the success of the work camp. And in the process, grow personally.
All right, that runs very well into my next question, which is you've been volunteering at the mission for almost 7 years, and I'll bet you've seen some changes in the people we serve. How have you seen individual lives of clients or of other volunteers be transformed in your time with us?
The very first year that I volunteered at the mission, I worked in the emergency assistance department, and that was something that I had never done before. I had never worked directly as a volunteer with an organization that provided direct service to the hungry and homeless. But my fears were not long-lived, because I found that our clients, actually during the period of time I was there, sort of became friends. I recall one young woman and her daughter who were homeless after Katrina, and they had come to the mission desperate to find a place where they could live, and Mom was also looking for a job. She came with a really deep sense of hope that life was going to change for her. And as I've talked with her over the years, because I always bump into her either at the mission itself or maybe in the grocery store, that I'm amazed at her transformation and how her daughter has grown and she has grown, and how much she really appreciates everything that the mission has given to her. And then there's a young man who has lived in the woods behind Mission House for several years now, and he worked part-time at one of the local food stores, and worked very, very hard, and always with that sense of hope that someday things were going to change for him. And last fall when I was there, he stopped me as I was walking from the guest house to Mission House, and he was all smiles and happy and jubilant that his part-time job had just changed into a full-time job. And so now he was looking at the end of living in a camp in the woods to soon being able to move into an apartment of his own. That is part of what Back Bay Mission is all about, is helping people see where they can go and help them make those steps, to get to that end result. But, with volunteer groups, every Friday, as the groups are winding up their work, we assess with them their experience at the mission. And there's always those, I never knew I could do this, comments that come from the volunteers. They express, joys of deepening not only their skills, but their spiritual growth, as well as a deepening sense of community amongst themselves. And I'm often reminded with their comments that while we may sit alongside one another in the same pew on Sunday mornings, we've never shared living arrangements together. We've never worked together in the kitchen preparing our own meals or meals for those in the community who are hungry. We've never climbed up on roofs together to re-roof a house or to paint walls and ceilings and doors and windows, etc. So what I see groups doing is a lot of them will be erasing those stereotypes that they might have come with, especially as they converse with the people that they are serving, and helping each other to improve their sense of community and their sense of wealth and what they can give.
And how have you grown during your time at the mission?
I believe that my faith in God has deepened and my sense of church has grown, and that my appreciation for mankind has deepened as well. We're all called to share our talents and treasures to improve the lives of those who may be hungry, in need of a new roof, or need some support to return to being a contributing member of our community. And I believe that with Back Bay Mission, I found a place where I can share my talents, where I can help directly or indirectly to improve many lives. When I first visited Biloxi in 2008, there was still a sense of ruins in Biloxi as a result of Katrina. But there was this underlying sense of undying hope. And now, 7 years later, that hope is still there. Even if somebody has a new roof over their head and their house is free of mold and damage, they still, continue that spirit of hope that every day God has blessed them with that day.
All of our volunteers talk about how rewarding it is to work at the mission, how they get so much more than they give. What have you found most rewarding about volunteering with us?
Well, one thing that I find very rewarding is the reception that I'm given and all volunteers are given on arrival, and that is sort of a very warm welcome. And when you return is, boy, I'm glad that you're back with us. And that sense of being that we're not just volunteers, but for that short period of time, we actually become contributing members of the staff. And that is not always true in all organizations. But I find that to be very rewarding aspect of the Back Bay Mission. It's also rewarding to visit with groups who are coming from all across the country. Maybe they're there for a second time or a third time, or maybe it's just their very, very first time. But sharing my experiences and seeing them grow in their own experiences is very rewarding. And to me, that underscores what Back Bay Mission is all about. The mission is still growing and evolving, and folks from near and far still want to be part of all that Back Bay Mission offers.
Speaking of those folks from near and far, as the volunteer coordinator, you spend a lot of time working with the groups who come to Biloxi on mission trips. I know that there are a lot of people and congregations out there who are thinking about making a mission trip to Back Bay Mission. What's the most important thing, or a couple of the most important things, that they should know as they're making that decision?
Well, it's not just a cliche, but I feel that all who come, who work, who share, will certainly leave with much more than they were able to give during a 1-week period of time. And in working with groups who are considering a work camp or just re-preparing to come for that second or third time, but I encourage them to talk openly about what their expectations are, and to set personal as well as group goals, and to plan together as a group, not just the group leader making all the plans, but everybody being involved with the decision making. And to also come with an open heart and soul that's ready to be filled, because it will be, I know. But also to encourage groups to experience other functions of the mission, to volunteer some time at the Micah Day Center, the Loaves and Fishes Soup Kitchen, and the mission's food pantry, as well as serving time in the community, speaking with residents, because that's when you truly can develop a sense of what Biloxi is all about and who Biloxi is. And when they do, they will go home with a full picture of what the mission means to the community at large.
So, final question. We're sending this interview out to everyone we can. So you've got an audience here and a chance to tell a lot of people what makes the mission special. What's one thing you would like to tell everyone about Back Bay Mission?
Well, it begins with the beginning in 1922, when the mission at that time was serving the needs of the poor and marginalized in Biloxi on the Back Bay. But they always served these people with the ideal of offering a hand up, not just a hand out. And today's needs are basically the same. The goals of the mission are basically the same. But the process that the mission uses to achieve those goals have evolved over time, and while still remaining a very relevant asset to the community. It's this ability that the mission has to ascertain what today's needs of today's people of Biloxi are, and the need to respond quickly and to begin programs to address those needs quickly. To me, that's what makes Back Bay Mission a very special place. It's very well received in the local community and is certainly a vital community ministry of the United Church of Christ.
Excellent, excellent. I think that really does get at what Back Bay Mission is and what we do. Well, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for sharing about your experience. We really appreciate it.
Okay, Chris, it's been my pleasure.